Okay, welcome to another painting, Dirk Burleson Art. Today we're going to do a painting, I call it Apple Harvest. It's going to be a couple little baskets, some apples. I think it's going to be a fun little painting. What I'm doing is I'm just going to go ahead and start putting a little background on there just to kind of cover up that white canvas. And all I'm using is burnt umber, little gesso, my mister bottle. I'm going to get that canvas all covered. Like I said, just getting it all covered. Whenever that paint starts to drag, I use my little spritzer bottle because that acrylic tends to dry pretty quickly. You don't want to put too much water on there. Then you'll start losing all your pigments or your binders in the paint, and it won't stick to your canvas, and it gives you a bad time then. But anyway, I like to put this background on most of my paintings before I start. Just covers everything up. It kind of makes the colors a little more vibrant when they go on. Hopefully you'll enjoy this one. I enjoyed painting it. There was a lot to it. I kind of changed my mind on the apples and the color of the apples a couple of dozen times, I think. But in the end, it turned out really nice, so I think you're going to enjoy it also. Okay, and I just kind of skipped ahead here. You've seen me put on backgrounds over and over again. Maybe I need to break it up into little sections of how to, again, backgrounds, but I got that first background on there. Basically all I did was scumble in, I think I was using my filbert brush, maybe my flat brush, scumble in some Hooker's green is what I'm using, a little bit of gesso, and I just kind of scumble in here where I think it needs a little more paint. And then I'm just using my hake brush and blending it. I'm going to make that background look really cloudy, a little, it's out of focus. We don't know what's back there. It could be grasses, it could be trees, who knows. But what we really want to do is just get that paint on the canvas, make sure it's covered. Yeah, I believe I'm using my little 3/4 inch flat brush. Just going in and kind of filling in some areas. Just kind of take your time here. And just make sure that it's all covered. And I'll load up and put a little darker area down below. When I go, I'll add some greens and some burnt umber, make it a little darker as I go down, maybe a little burnt umber, blue, black. Just kind of fill all that in. This will eventually all have grasses in it. Now I've broken this down into 5 parts. This painting took about 2.5 hours, 3 hours, something like that. And I did a lot of editing, but I broke it down into, I think, 4 equal parts, right at about 30 minutes. And then the last one, part 5, is about 17 minutes, and it's just about the grass mostly and finishing up. But again, just getting it all covered. And here again, you can go as fast as you want or as slow as you want. Just really trying to get paint on the canvas. Still using that 3/4 inch flat brush. I think you could use about any brush you want. You could use a 1 inch, a 2 inch. You could use your hake brush. filbert brush, doesn't really matter. I'll just kind of blend it out with my hake brush. Oh, and I believe that's a 2.5-inch hake brush. But one thing that inspired me for this painting was, one, possibly doing it in class in the future. We may cut out some of the apples, just do a few, because the apples can take a little bit of time. Baskets weren't bad. But also we have a craft show. Cider Days is coming up in Topeka, Kansas, sometime in September. I have to look at the date. So it kind of inspired me to, some apples. Call this like the apple harvest. Now what I'm doing is just taking my white charcoal pencil, and I'm just going to kind of start drawing in my buckets. Normally I skip this part, and then I cut it out, and then that way when it comes back it's already drawn in, because it seems like it just takes so much time to draw it in, and depending on how elaborate it is, if it's really elaborate, I'll just put it in there, and then you'll see the finished product, because if I have to erase and go back and forth, a lot of times I draw whatever it is I'm going to use on a separate piece of paper. That way I can change its size, shape, I can erase, I can add, whatever it is. And then I like it, and then I'll take copy paper, and I'll put that copy paper on the canvas, and then I'll just trace the paint or the picture that I just drew. Saves a lot of time, plus if I ever want to use that in another painting somewhere, I've already got it. Or a class, I can make patterns, and people can use it in class to trace, that way they don't have to freehand it. But here I had a lot of people ask, well, how do you get the picture on there? You don't show that. So I'm going to go ahead and just kind of show here with my pencil real quick, and just loosely kind of figuring out where everything's going to go. And it may change a little bit. It may get smaller, may get bigger, I don't know. But at this point we can change it. And when everything dries, as you can see there, I can rub off some of that. But when you get paint on there, and if you stay inside the line and you can still see your white charcoal, just wait till it dries and wipe it off. It wipes right off. You may have to dampen your cloth or a little bit, just kind of lightly rub it, and it'll come off. But here I'm just kind of loosely drawing some of these apples in. Kind of seeing where I want them. Again, those might change. I may move them around, I may add more, I may take some out. But we get into a point here when we start painting the apples where it just becomes repetition. It's over and over again. If you watch one, you'll be able to do the others. The important thing is knowing where your light's coming from, because your apples are going to have a light side, just like anything that we make that's a sphere, or it's rounded, or it's some kind of, we want to see a three-dimension more. So like an apple, a tree, a fence post, they're going to have a light side, kind of a medium side, and a dark side. The light side, of course, wherever the light's hitting it directly, and then it kind of starts to go around into shadow. Apples are going to be the same way, or any fruit. So that's the one big thing that we've got to make sure we got right when we're doing these apples. Even the buckets will take on a three-dimension. And again, I'm just quickly putting it in there. Like I said, now you can see why most of the time I just edit this out and okay, the drawing's in there. Because half the time I look and I go, I may change my mind. But you can see it on there. Just kind of make that a little bit. That bucket was a little bit too short, so I'm going to bring it down a little bit more. And then we'll cover all that with paint. And then we'll put some apples up in this bucket. Like it didn't fall over and lose its apples. May have lost a couple of them. Canvas board's kind of flopping around there a little bit. So see, I'm kind of wiping off where I didn't like it. I thought, you know what, I need probably one, maybe two more apples over here, but I definitely need one right in there. And then between the buckets, there'll be a couple more. But I'm not sure if I put them until a little bit later. All right. Now, as you can see, I kind of skipped ahead a little bit, but I'm just starting to put a kind of a darkish, reddish color. I think it was alizarin crimson, and maybe a little bit of burnt umber. And kind of putting the base on, trying to get some of that shadow look. And now I'm going in with a different red. I think it was cadmium red light, or can't remember. I'd have to look, but and I just change colors so many times because I get there and I go, oh, that looks good, and then well, kind of looks like a tomato color. So I go back and kind of do my colors a little bit different. Maybe add a little bit of burnt umber to it, kind of different red. Just tested different colors. But like I said, you'll see that my apples change quite a bit. But at this point, just trying to get color in, size, proportion. Do we like it? Do we not like it? Do we want to take an apple out, add apples, too small apple, maybe make a bigger apple? Don't quite know yet, but this is the point when we're just getting color on the canvas. Oh, and my brush here, just using a flat brush, using a number 2, just a little number 2 flat brush. And I'll use other brushes too. I think I use my filbert brush a little bit. Use my that 3/4, but I use this quite a bit. Script liner brush. We'll even use the dagger brush when we start getting into grasses. We'll use a little scruffy brush. We'll start doing like speckling on the apples when we're getting ready to finish those. So, but we'll use probably 5 or 6 different brushes throughout this process, including the Hake brush. Again, this is the point when we just spend quite a bit of time on these apples. And like I said, I have changed the color of the apples around several times throughout this painting. And I don't know that I showed every one of them, but yeah, I'm just going to go back in with my pencil here. I'm going to kind of draw in the handle. And again, this handle is going to go away and then be put back in at the end. But right now, I'm just kind of putting where I think it'll be, how big it's going to be. That way it can kind of give me, do I want to put any more apples in? What do I want to do? But like I said earlier, a lot of this is just going to be repetition. When we start doing the apples and we start doing the bucket, and when we do the grasses, really will get in there. Okay, see, I'm just putting a little black, brown, made a little, a little bit of black and brown and a little bit of white, kind of made a grayish color on, to put on the inside of the bucket. But again, it's all gonna change. This is just a background color. Putting a little more black in there because I think it's gonna be a little more shaded there. And again, there'll be color over it, but that black will be behind that color. And it'll start making it really look good. And again, I think I may have went to my little filbert brush there. Looks kind of like my filbert brush. But we're really going to start doing a lot of repetitious type stuff, like I've been saying. But I really wanted to video this part because a lot of people have asked about, the object that we put in. Sometimes it's already there. Sometimes when I edit all the filling in, so it's actually got it's drawn in and it's got its base coat on it before I ever show it. And I've had people inquire and say, hey, we want to learn how you did that or watch how you did that. So that's part of the reason this video is a little bit longer. It's not that the painting is some elaborate painting that looks like a photograph. It's a painting that can be done in a couple hours in an art class, or you can spend 10 hours on it making it look a lot more realistic. I make mine somewhere in between. If I spend too much time to make it look like a ultra realistic painting, which that takes a lot of practice, a lot of patience, a lot of time, then I can't do those in class. But if I do a painting that I say, oh, that looks really good, it's got a lot of realism in it with a little bit of impressionism. Some parts the eye has to finish, some it just right there looks almost real. And that's the kind of balance I'm looking for, because I think that really works out in class. When I teach my classes, I tell my students, you have a painting that we've done but could use more. You could hang it on the wall, you could give it to your friends, and it'll be a great painting. But you could also go, wow, I wish I had a few more leaves in there, a little more grass. Maybe I wish I'd spend a little more time on my bucket. Maybe a little more time on my apples. Make those apples really pop. You're there. If you've got paints at home, then just grab your paints, put them on your easel, set in your art studio, your kitchen table. I've painted in my front room. Got a TV tray, put a little easel on there, a little paintbrush. If I'm doing a little small painting and maybe I'm just doing something, getting an idea. That's where I do a lot of my drawings. Sitting in my easy chair, have a little board that I can put my paper on and doodle. And here you can see I'm kind of lightening that inside. This old bucket, this color will basket. It'll change. It'll change many times. And again, I would have skipped a lot of this. I would edit a lot of this out. But I think it is good for people to be able to see the kind of process. And one good thing is if you're going along and you go, okay, yeah, I know how to do that. You can skip forward in the video and go, oh, I'm having a little trouble with this part. You can stop the video, watch what we're doing. So I tried to keep a lot more in this video and not edit as much. Just adding a little bit of, probably, I think it's a little brown, a little black. Just kind of adding some shadows where I might see some shadows. And then on this bucket, we know this side's going to be the light side because our light's going to come from that right side. Like that light's going right into the bucket and into those apples. So I'm starting to I have an idea where my light's coming from. And I have an idea how to, where my dark should be. But again, you can see that there's really no light or shadow detail on these yet. Very little. Like I always say, getting paint on the canvas is the most important thing to do. Get that paint on there, and it's a process. Don't try to make this bucket or this apple look real on the first stroke. It will drive you crazy, and you will end up giving up because you'll say it just doesn't look like I want it to. Art and painting is a process, and it's step by step, layer by layer. Some things can be done in a couple of layers. Some may take 5, 6, 7 layers to get it where you like it. Apples, some like your red grapes or the Concord grapes or whatever they are, those can take many, many, many coats. The reason is the paint is so transparent that you put it on and then it dries a little dark, and then you can still see the shadows underneath, and you want more red. And so you add layer over layer. And what I do is I like to take a brush, and I'll take my red and I'll water it down so it's really transparent, and then I'll just brush it, almost glaze. Well, I'm glazing the apple. What that'll start doing is bringing on more sheen, make the apples look like they really glisten. This one I did a little bit, but again, not a lot because we just don't have that much time if we do it in a class. Here I'm just adding some more shadow back there, or a dark area. I wouldn't really call it a shadow yet, just some dark paint, and that's gonna separate the two baskets. Just really figuring out where we want to be. And I believe in part 2 we really start getting into the I think in part 2 we get more into getting the bucket done. And then I think part 3 we spend on mostly the apples. Part 4 is really putting the final touches on the apples, the baskets, some of our grass is in. I think we may work on a little grass in there. And then of course part 5, again, is I think only 17 minutes. But it's just finishing up any highlights and grass. And I didn't spend a lot of time on the grass because every one of my videos that has grass, we've went over and over and over. And when we get to that point, on that part 5, I'll explain what brush we're using, how we're doing it, just like I do on all of them. But to sit and watch me do every blade of grass would get really boring. it'd get really boring for me to watch. It gets really boring for me to do, but so I try not to bore you with that a lot. Now what I'm doing is just taking a small little round brush and I'm just putting in where I think my slats for my basket will be. Again, that's not the finished product. It's just for my eye, my edification. Where's that going to be? Again, these will probably change. But right, and if I don't like them, I can always paint right over them. All right, so now I went in with a little more highlight on these apples. And I'll get these done and I'll go, oh, I don't like those at all. So they'll change again. I promise they'll change many times. And I wanted to keep that in there and not added it so you think I just painted this apples the first time to look like that. I wanted you to see that, oh wow, you can change them over and over again, make them a little bit bigger, and they still come out. And again, I went back to that little flat brush. Again, all I'm doing is trying to find the light side, trying to find where that light's going to be coming through, separating each of the apples a little bit. And they will change colors. There will be a lot more detail to them, but that'll come in some later episode, or part 3 or 4, can't remember. Hopefully you're enjoying this little painting so far. It was a lot of fun. We'll be coming to the end of this one, part 1, fairly quick. I'm hoping that you was able to paint along, listen to the music there a little bit. I'm trying to break up my talking so you have something to listen to. But again, this was a lot of fun. Difficulty level on this was maybe medium. So if you're a beginner, very first time painting, yeah, you could do this one. It may take you a little more time. A lot of this painting is about a little bit of perspective, shape, color. We talk a lot about light and dark. Starting to separate those a little bit. Right now they kind of look like a blob. I think we still got about 30 seconds left or so. Just kind of let you watch me touch these up, and again part 2 will kind of take up where we left off. Anyway, we're running out of time, so we will see you on the next one. I hope to get part 2 up to you next week.